And for more on what to expect for today's primaries, we bring in Bradley Devlin. He is a political editor for the American Conservative. Good morning, Bradley. Good to see you. So let's start with this. Do you think we will know who the nominees are after the votes for Super Tuesday come in?
I think we have a pretty good idea of who the nominees are going to be right now. I don't think Nikki Haley has much of a shot today to bridge the gap between her and Donald Trump. I think Joe Biden, though he had his issues in Michigan, though he might have his issues today in Minnesota and Colorado, he's on track to be the nominee. The incumbent president should keep his nomination, and so too the former president of the United States will be running for the third time on the Republican ticket. 865 delegates up for grabs today on the Republican side, at least, about 1,200 up for grabs on the Democratic side. Trump could be within 200 delegates of wrapping up the nomination. So he could wrap this thing up and be the presumptive nominee come next week if he has a really good night tonight.
So yeah, everybody essentially saying the same thing. So why does Haley even still, why is she still in it? So do you think Haley still has hope to overcome that negative momentum she has there? Which states is she focused on?
Well, it's going to tell us a lot about how Haley does tonight with the first two states that are going to see their polls close on the Republican side. That's going to be Vermont and Virginia. Look at those suburb areas. Look at how she's doing with white suburban voters, college-educated voters. That's going to tell us a lot. And, you know, maybe Vermont and Virginia spell good performances in Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Colorado, Utah. But I think most of those points are moot because the closest margin that she has in the polls right now is in Virginia, and that range is a comfortable 8-point lead for Trump to 25. So we really don't know what's going to happen in Virginia, which makes it pretty interesting. For the other states, most of the time he's up 50-plus points. In a few states, he's up 30-plus points. So why Haley's staying in, I don't know. You'll have to ask her because at this point, it just seems like she's sowing discord in the Republican Party that has serious financial issues, and especially with an incumbent that's facing all these legal challenges, a campaign that's having to spend all this money on legal funds. That's why I think you're seeing a lot of those fundraisers, those big dollar donors, leaving her campaign, kind of approaching détente with the former president and getting the ducks in a row before November.
Right. So if we will actually know who the nominees are after that, what do you think will this mean for the campaigns of each of the nominees, Biden and Trump, knowing it this early on, leading up to November?
Money, 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 money. That's what they're going to be focused on for the next several months until the convention. I think Trump is going to do all that he can to approach Nikki Haley donors, those big dollar donors that see a failing president and President Joe Biden that may have supported President Joe Biden in 2020 and approach those donors and say, hey, you know, things were a lot better when I was around. You may not like me personally. You may not like some of my policies. But we're right now involved in two wars. We have inflation that's out of control, harming working class families. We have a border that's wide open, and you might not like some of my border policies, but you have to admit this chaos on the southern border can't go on. So I think that's where Trump's going to be really focused. You've seen this with the Club for Growth. You've seen this with some other Koch-funded institutions on the right coming back towards President Trump after supporting him in 2020, even though that was kind of a tenuous relationship to begin with. But I think Trump and his apparatus is going to be doing all that he can to repair those relationships. And as for Joe Biden, he's in a difficult spot, right? Particularly when it comes to the war in Israel and Gaza. He has a donor base that is fairly on side of Israel, but he has a progressive base that's very on the side of Gaza, on the side of the Palestinian cause. And Biden so far has been able to thread that needle quite well, but I think the biggest thing that he could do for himself is find a ceasefire agreement there, get some hostages home. That will help him with the progressive base as well as the donors. If the donors see hostages come home and say, hey, look, it looks like we're only going to be involved in one proxy war come November rather than two.
Right. Understood. Well, thank you so much, Bradley Devlin, for taking the time this morning to speak to us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.